happy, like you should, that I hate when content is lost. So anything I do, I try to capture so other people can benefit from it. All right, so
Great.
All right, so let me do a little intro, and then we can jump into the Q&A section. All right, so, well, who the fuck am I? So all right, my name is Steli Efti. Originally from Greece, but born and raised in Germany. Factory worker family, so nobody in my family ever received a higher education. Nobody in my family was ever an entrepreneur. And on the education side, I was determined to keep the tradition alive. So I hated school growing up. I dropped out of school fairly early. I hated growing up in the neighborhood I did. I hated, a lot of things growing up as a kid. So eventually I discovered entrepreneurship as this option where I could be quote unquote successful without needing to get permission or certification from somebody else. And the size of my success was very deterministically related to my effort and the value I would be able to create. And that was very, very, once I realized that existed, I was like, yes. Because I was shitty in school, so academically successful would not be really an option. One of my brothers, I've told the brothers, one of my brothers wanted to convince me that we needed to go into illegal activities to make a lot of money, and that was not a very appealing idea to me. Don't worry, they're both harmless, they're both family men and good people, but back then they were like 18 watching too many gangster movies, so they're like, we need to do illegal things to get a lot of money and become rich. So I hated both of these options. So once I discovered entrepreneurship, I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So I dropped out of school when I was 17. I started my first business. I did a few bootstrap companies back in Europe. Nothing to do with technology, but a lot of these profitable businesses. And then 10 years ago, I had a big idea for a technology company. I sold everything I had back in Europe, and I bought a one-way ticket to San Francisco and arrived here to build a technology company and to change the world and all that jazz. And I don't want to ruin the surprise, but the first company that I came with did not work out. It was a 5-year spectacular failure. At the end of it, I was emotionally, financially, spiritually bankrupt on all levels. I made all the mistakes in the book. I was so clueless when I arrived here. I literally asked somebody at San Francisco airport how to get to Silicon Valley. Now, for people who don't know, Silicon Valley is not a city or a place. It's like an area. Funny enough, the guy at the airport was like, do you mean Palo Alto, Stanford? And I was like, I heard Stanford before. Yes. And so I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have a visa, long-term visa. I had to figure all this shit out on the go, and made many, many mistakes along the way. So the first company didn't work out, with many mistakes. And then the second company I started with a few turns and twists and pivots as it is, it has become the company that I'm running today. And this is the most relevant for you guys out there, because the company I'm running today, we started as Elastic Sales. And as Elastic Sales, we were offering startups in Silicon Valley an outsourced sales team on demand. So we would do sales for brand new startups, find their first customers, develop their sales model and scale their sales team and hire salespeople for them and grow it. And we did that for over 200 venture-backed startups in Silicon Valley. And that's when we developed a reputation. That's when people started thinking of us as thought leaders. And that's when we really learned a shit ton on how to do sales for a startup, specifically for a new product, a new market. And during that period of time, from day one, we developed software internally to help our salespeople outperform their competitors. And that's what became Close.io. Close.io is the sales software that we're selling to companies all around the world. We have actually a lot of customers in Mexico as well, and Latin America. And Close.io became this kind of inside sales tool that really helps salespeople close more deals, make more sales. And eventually, as we were doing Elastic Sales, we released the product. The product grew faster than the services business. So eventually we stopped doing outsourced sales and we fully focused on selling the sales software. And today we have thousands and thousands of companies around the world that are using our sales software to do sales, with a lot of startups that do that. We're highly profitable, multi-million-dollar company, and we're a very small, very international team. So we're just 20 people that are fully remote all around the world. In South America, we actually just have 2 people in Brazil, so we don't have anybody in Mexico working for us now, but sooner or later that's going to happen as well. And we're doing very well. I personally, I care heavily about entrepreneurship, and my entrepreneurial superpower, if I have one, is sales. And I've advised thousands and thousands of founders on how to figure out a successful sales model. So that's kind of why I'm invited to events all around the world, or even webinars like this, to help you as founders with your sales questions and sales challenges. All right, so I hope that gives a little bit of context. In terms of the one fundamental piece of advice that I'll give before I go through your questions is so simple that I didn't understand that piece of advice for most of my entrepreneurial career, and I wish I would have. Most of my advice that I give is very basic shit. But just because the reason why it's so effective is not that it needs to be complicated. The reason why it's so effective is that it is a fundamental that will always be true, or fundamentals that will always be true, but will be ignored by most people, right? So if I was a fitness trainer and you came to me and you asked me, how can I lose weight and how can I be more fit? My basic advice to everybody would be, eat broccoli and work out, motherfucker. Like, just move your body, do things with your body, and eat healthy shit, right? There's no magic here. It's very basic things. But then there's a million books about new diets. There's 100 million different workout gadgets, and there's a massive industry that wants to show you another way of losing weight and being healthy. Why? Because people don't want to eat broccoli and they don't want to work out. Right? As simple as that. They're like, yeah, I know that if I ate healthy and I worked out, I would be fit, but I don't want to do this shit. So give me an alternative, something easier, something nicer, something sexy, something fun, something convenient. That's why there's a massive industry of that. It's the same thing with startups. It's the same thing with sales and marketing and growth advice. There's some fundamental shit that will always work. Those people don't want to do that fundamental shit. So they're looking for the new, what's the newest growth hack? What's the newest this and that and the other? They're looking for fashions and fads versus for fundamentals. I'm not good at that. So all the advice I'm going to give you is very fundamental. And I'll start with this. No matter what your question is to me, my answer will always be, it depends. Because that's the truth. There's no universal answer that's true for everybody. The best person to get advice from, the only people you should care most about getting advice from, are not investors, are not successful founders, are not experts, is not reading books or articles. All these things are good. You should do these things. But the number one source of true information, valuable information and insights, is always going to be your customers or your potential customers. Hey, Steli, what's the best way to send emails to these people? Ask your customers. Hey, Steli, what's the best channel to approach them and market to them? Ask them. Hey, what is the channels that you buy the most things from? Hey, what are the last 2-3 software products you've purchased? How did you get to purchase them? What was the decision-making process? Hey, what websites do you visit? What apps do you use? Hey, when I sent you this email and you opened it, let me ask you, what about my email captured your imagination? What resonated with you? Why did you open it? Or if you send an email and the person doesn't open the email, doesn't respond to your email, call them and ask, hey, just out of courtesy, just give me a quick feedback. I know I sent you an email and it was not interesting to you. I don't want to sell you today. All I need is a little bit of advice. Why wasn't it interesting? What about my email sucked? Why wasn't it the right thing to say to you? Ask your customers, your target audience, for advice. Gain all the insights and all the knowledge you need from them. Meet with them for coffee. And don't tell them I want to sell you. Tell them I'm an entrepreneur. Here's what I'm building. If you are an expert in this field, if you were me and you had built this product, how would you sell it? How would you market it to people like yourself? Get their insights, their expertise as customers to help you understand how to do marketing, how to do product development, how to do sales, how to close them. The best source, the only truth source of insight is your customer. It's not your investors. It's not experts. It's not speakers. It's no YouTube videos, no blog posts. No matter, I have a huge audience. Millions of people read my blogs, listen to my podcast. I can give you general advice, but the only truth is with your customers. I don't fucking know what you need to do, but I can tell you where you can find the truth, which is your customers. And too many founders, they try to guess the truth and go to the customer with a perfect answer. This is going there, especially in the early days, with the humility and the curiosity to ask the right questions and learn. All right. So this is my basic spiel and my little gospel for your Friday. So with that being out of the way, let me go through the questions and give some more specific answers. But you'll see a lot of my answers will go back to something that relates to going closer to your customer. All right? So if at any point I make no sense, or if at any point you want me to drill in on something even more specifically, just speak up and let me know. So that's cool.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So let me go through some of your questions, people. So the first question I see here is, what do you do to motivate yourself after a series of rejections, right? This is the thing. Business is simple. Startups are simple. It's humans that are complicated. We are the problem, right? It's we and our emotions are the problem, both when we make decisions as the founders and startup team, but also our customers are humans as well, which sucks too, right? Because they have emotions. They are in doubt. They don't know what to decide. So how do I manage my emotions after I get rejected a lot? Man, it's tough. I'm not going to lie. It sucks. I don't like rejection either. I don't know anybody who really, truly loves rejection. I have just learned over many years and lots of reprogramming to have a higher tolerance level for rejection than you, right? That's all it is. And the way that I've done that is by reprogramming my mind. So one hack I'll give is that once I know my conversion rate, let's say I know that I have to call 100 people to talk to 5, and I know that typically I need to get, 4 people, like I'll have to get 10 people to reject me to get 1 person to say yes. Let's say that's my funnel, right? My first job is always to create a funnel. And once I have a funnel, it doesn't matter how bad it is, I just look at that math and I don't focus on the win, I focus on the loss ratio. So instead of me saying, I need to get to a close, I need to get to a yes, I need to get to a yes, and then I get a no, another no, another no, another no, and eventually I'll get crushed. What I tell myself is, I need to get to 10 no's as quickly as possible, because I know if I get 10 rejections, I'll get a deal. Right? My ratio is 10 to 1, so I just need to get to 10 rejections as quickly as possible. So now my progress and progression is the rejection, not the conversion. So now every time I call somebody and they tell me no, I'm like, yes, 1 more no closer to my goal. I have like 10 check boxes, and I need to get these checked off as quickly as possible. Now every rejection is actually progress for me. Doesn't stand in my way. It's actually stepping stones towards my goal. And then I'll even tell them thank you, right? There was a time that I had like I bought once like a big empty glass, like a massive wine glass that was empty, and I bought a shit ton of like pennies. And I told myself, once this wine, like every penny is a rejection, once the bottle is full of pennies, I'm rich, right? And every time somebody would tell me no, I would be like, wait a second. And I would like throw in the penny in the bottle and be like, did you hear that? Thank you so much for helping me on my way to wealth. And sometimes that alone made people go, what? What is this? And I continue the conversation. But it's reprogramming your mind to see that rejection is part of progress. It's not the end of the world. And it's these little hacks that I did back in the day that helped me a lot. So I wanted to share that. But honestly, it will suck right? It will suck. I'm not saying that you're going to feel amazing at it. Nobody does. Don't look at anyone and go, oh, this person doesn't feel bad about rejection. I do. We all do. All you have to do is find a way to manage that emotion, to manage that. And the best tip I can give you is to break down your math in a way where rejection is progress, and you track, oh, I need 10 no's and I'll get to the yes. And you focus on that. All right. Next question. Speaking with a client and following up works really well with businesses. Have you worked with B2C companies? And if so, have you helped them get users? A news app, for example. So I'm not an expert in the B2C space. I am not, right? So I can't speak from firsthand experience. Typically, though, you have to follow up with humans multiple times to get their attention. It doesn't matter if it's in the B2B or B2C sector. The follow-up just looks different, right? If you're an app and you want people to come back to the app and use it multiple times a day, you need to worry a lot about retention. You need to figure out, are we giving, what mechanisms can we build to make it appealing for people to come back? And maybe it is notifications, maybe it's going to be something else. And obviously you can abuse anything. I don't know how many, it's going to be emails, it's going to be notifications, it's going to be better if it's baked into the core usage of your product. But retention is more important than acquisition. This is another thing that it's hard to believe and hard to focus on because it's not as sexy. But getting 10 customers is easy. Keeping 10 customers is hard. If you're losing your customers faster than you're getting them, you're fucked. Same thing if this is especially true if you're in the B2C sector, and let's say a mobile app. Like people tell me, oh, we have 1 million downloads. I go, I don't give a fuck. How many active daily users do you have? 3,000. Ooh, see how that hurts? See how 3,000 is a very different number from 1 million, right? So why the fuck are people not sticking around? And if you have to acquire 1 million people to get 3,000 to use it, this will never work. Like you'll never be able to market enough to make this work. You'll acquire 100 million downloads and you're gonna have 30,000 users. Like this is never gonna work, right? So retention is the key. And following up, doesn't matter if it's an email, call, notification, or better in the end consumer space, if it's a core part of how the product delivers value, the more I use it, the more value I get. It needs to be at the forefront of your mind, right? All right, next question. What have you done in the past to retain clients, users, and what would you do differently in the future? This is a good follow-up question because it goes back to retention. So for us, I mean, the number one thing is building a product that is a core product that users and our customers need to use multiple times a day. Our users are using our product an average of 7 hours a day. 7 hours, right? It's the nervous system of their company. If you run a B2B startup, the salespeople in that startup will use the CRM as the core of everything they do. So we wanted to build a product and a business that has high level of usage. It's not like once a year when people have this problem, they can use our tool. It's very hard to build a business on something that people don't have to use frequently. From day one, we did a lot of drip emails to retain customers. So we would send them emails on how to use our product and also send them emails on teaching them how to be successful, right? So we have a lot of customers that are startups. So teaching startups how to be successful in sales and our customers how to be successful in sales is a retention mechanism, because if our customers are successful in selling, they're going to be using our software more. They're going to be hiring more salespeople, which means they're going to be using more of our product and paying us more money. So the more successful our customers are, the more successful we are with them. So I think that we, from day one, we focused on giving them a lot of content on helping them succeed, and that helped us retain them longer. And that was a really good strategy that we did from day one. We would call trial users within, just a few minutes of sign up in the early days. And I think that was really valuable. Trying to ask them, what do they need to do with our product, why they're looking into our product, and trying to give them advice and really help them in any way possible. Do a lot of webinars, a lot of trainings. So these are the things that we did really right. The one thing we didn't do as well from the get-go is really create a community around our customers and users. Doing customer meetups, doing customer events, That's something we really neglected, and we just started doing recently. And although it's small, it's so powerful. We do these meetups at different cities where we invite customers for drinks, and we mingle with them, and we let them mingle with each other, and we tell them what we're going to build next, and we hear their feedback. It's so powerful. You learn so much from these events. You learn so much from your customers. You build such great relationships. It's so powerful for your brand. And it's something that I wish we would have done from day one. And it took us like 3 years to start doing it, and at great cost. So I wish we would have done. The more time you spend with your customers, the better. Visit them, do customer visits at their offices, do customer events. It doesn't scale. It's not huge numbers. It won't explode your business tomorrow, but it is the foundation that will make your company grow and prosper. It's one of those things that we always feel we don't have enough time to do, but it's very important to do. So there you go. That's my answer to that. Okay, next question. In a fintech B2B startup focused on selling towards education, what would be the best approach to reach the decision makers? Constant follow-up via email or unconventional tactics like using social media, writing letters, and such? My answer here is it depends, and I don't fucking know, right? I don't know what the best approach is because I don't know the education market in Mexico, especially, right, or in South America. I can tell you that if I were you, I would test a few of these. In the early days, I would actually go and visit in person because a lot of times it's easier to get a quick 5-10 minute meeting when you're there in person. And then again, in that meeting, I would not focus on selling them immediately. If you ask for money, you'll get advice. If you ask for advice, you might get money. A lot of times in the early days, I find it a much better framework to approach these early potential customers and not tell them, I want you to be a customer, but to tell them, I want you to give me advice, you're a thought leader. And to say, here's what we've built. We've built it for people like you and companies like you or the education schools like your own. And because you're a thought leader and we've built new technology in this space, I'm asking just for 10 minutes of your advice. Is the technology good? Would you use it? If you were my co-founder, how would you sell this to companies? Would you send emails? Would you write letters? How do I get in touch with people like you? And I would ask for advice. And you'll learn that when you ask for advice, people bring down their guard. Everybody likes to be an expert. Everybody likes to be an expert. Everybody likes to give advice. So they'll bring down their guard and they'll give you advice. And it's going to be honest because they don't think about you trying to sell them. They're just thinking about them giving you advice. And you're like a founder, you do new technology, you're an interesting person, and they're the big education director and they're going to tell you how to do it. That advice is going to be really valuable. At the end of that conversation, nothing stops you from saying, thank you for this advice. Well, shit, let me ask you, would you be interested to become a customer? Nothing stops you from asking them to become a customer at the end anyways. But if you ask them for advice first and then for money later, it's a much smoother transition than if you approach them and you go, I just need 10 minutes. We've built this technology and we think you should be a customer. Because they're going to go guard up. I don't want to spend money. I don't want to waste money. I don't want to be the first that's using this. And they're not going to be honest with you. They're going to give you bullshit answers like, oh, we don't have the budget. We don't have the time. All this is bullshit. They don't have the budget. Have they bought things that cost hundreds of thousands in the past? Yes. Are they spending millions of dollars or millions of every year? Yes. Oh, they don't have the time. Every day, 8 hours a day, they have meetings. They take phone calls. Right? They answer emails. They do all these things. All it is I don't want to give my time and my money to you right now, right? So ask for advice. You'll see that a lot more people will be open and honest and give you really good data. And with that information, you can learn what is the best way to approach them. Letters, in person, phone calls, emails, social media. I don't fucking know. They do, so get the answer from them. Next question. What is the best way to reach for decision makers in the educational sector? So this is related. The principal of the school, I can make constant calls, but most of the times I don't get past the receptionist. So here you go. Here's somebody who's making lots of calls, doesn't get past the receptionist. So maybe you have to visit in person. Maybe you have to try sending a bunch of emails. Maybe you have to try to find some other way. One other thing I've learned is a lot of times people really suck at selling the receptionist. You have to understand, or the gatekeeper, understand this. When you talk to the receptionist, you need to sell the receptionist on why it's valuable to their life to put you through to the director. You can't just say, put me through to the director because I want to talk to the director, right? I don't give a shit. I'm the receptionist. It's my job to protect the director's time from people that are going to waste it. So you need to pitch me why this is going to be good for me and why I'm not going to get my ass kicked for pulling you through, right? My risk as a receptionist is pushing you through and then the director calling me and telling me, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you let this person through? So a lot of times people don't think about the needs of the individuals they're talking to. The receptionist is the first sell you have to make, and it's a different sell. The product you're selling to the receptionist is, why is it going to be a good idea to let me speak to the director? Why is your job not in jeopardy for letting me talk to the director? That's your pitch. You need to create a pitch for that, for the receptionist. And if you sell the receptionist on that idea, then they're going to let you through. And now you can sell the director on your product or service. Most people don't think, they think, oh, it's just the receptionist. Why do I have to think about what their needs are? Why do I have to pitch them? Well, you do, because if you don't, they're never going to let you through. All right? Okay. Next question. My closing technique for schools. Shit, it seems like either one person has a lot of questions, or you guys are doing a lot in the education space, which I love. By the way, a little hindsight, the first startup I came to Silicon Valley 10 years ago, the first thing I wanted to do that I told you that didn't work, that I worked on for 5 years, was an education startup, ed tech startup that didn't work out. So I have a soft spot for that space. My closing technique for schools is to offer a free trial of the demo for a month, get the parents involved, obtain feedback and acceptance, and tell the school to acquire the platform for a small fee. Then the school charges a greater fee to the parents, resulting in zero cost for the school. How would you recommend to better close deals with the education sector? Well, again, it depends, and I don't fucking know. If this is your idea today, go and try it and see if it works. If it works well, keep doing it. If it doesn't work well, find out why. I could imagine there are a million reasons why this may or may not work, right? It may be that, yeah, of course, if schools don't have to pay for it, it's good, because schools are very restricted in budget. But then the question becomes, are you going to be selling to only schools that have like affluent parents that can afford to pay money? Then the sale is a bit more complex, right? Because now you're selling to the student, the school, and the parents, which is actually almost always true when you sell in the education sector, which is why this is such a complicated pitch. Here's the deal. I come back to, like, humans are the problem, not business, right? Humans are what makes things complicated. Your pitch, if you're selling the education sector, you have to have different pitches for all the constituents. The students have different needs than the school have different needs than the parents. If you have one type of marketing and sales that you use for everybody, it's not going to work. You have to have 3 different pitches for your product, 3 different ways to market it. It's a lot of effort and a lot of work, but you have to do it if you want to succeed in the education space. But in terms of this business model, it might be great or it might not work at all. I do not know. You have to find that out on your own. Ask for advice from directors, ask for advice from teachers, ask for advice from students, ask for advice from parents. Try it out and see. I don't know. Next question is not completely written out, so I'm going to skip this one. Next one, which kind of features have you ever sold before actually having built a product? I'm assuming the question here is relating to selling things you have not built yet. I've sold the whole product without having built anything. So when we started Elastic Sales, we had the idea on a Tuesday. I started cold calling companies on a Wednesday, pitching them on this, although we had nothing, just the idea. We had no name, no website, no blog, no software, no product, no people, nothing. Just cold call it people, because I said, I want my customers to give me the education to figure out what to build, how to build, and if this is even worth it or not. Well, does anybody, how to price it, all these things. You know how I price the product? I was pitching one person, it's 500 a day, and the next person it's 1,000 a day, and the next person it's 10,000 a day, and the next person it's $20 a day, and just seeing what people reacted to and how they reacted, right? So I've pitched things very, very far further from being even in existence. Now, having said that, you have to be careful. If I pitch something that doesn't exist yet, I'm not going to say I have it today, send me your money, because I don't. I might tell them, though, we are launching it in 3 months. You have to put down a fully refundable deposit to be an early customer. That I have done. And then I took their $5,000, although I didn't have a product yet, and I had to build the product, and in 3 months' time, I had to deliver it. But you know what I didn't do with those $5,000? I did not use it or spend that money. Because again, that's dumb, that's risky. What if in 3 months I haven't built the product yet? I haven't finished it. I've already taken the money and spent it. That to me is actually stealing. But taking your money and telling you it's 100% refundable, putting it on an account, not touching it, and in 3 months, if you want your money back, I can give it to you. But if I have a product and you like it, I can keep the money. That's totally honest and fair. So I don't like giving things for free. I like to charge for everything. But in the early days, when I'm not sure if I can actually deliver value, if I can actually build the feature of the product, I like to make this fully refundable so it's a no-risk proposition. All right. Let's get a few more of these in before we wrap this up. How can we optimize the closing phase of the sales process? Some of our leads are not buying. What tips, recommendation can you give us to turn over the situation and achieve the sale? Again, I don't fucking know. Right? How could I know this? I don't know this information. But I tell you who does know, your customer. So here are some magic words you need to use, some of the most powerful words you can use. And the words are as follow. Please help me out here. Here's what I mean. If I pitch to a customer, I qualify them. I do a pilot or a project or a trial. And then at the end, at the closing phase, this is what this person is telling me. I don't know if it's true. But if it's only at the closing phase, the customer goes or the prospect goes, thank you for everything, but we're not going to buy. I'm not just going to go, okay, goodbye. I'm going to go, help me out here. What happened? Why aren't you buying? Now, here's the kicker and the sad part. Most prospect will lie to you here. They're not going to tell you the truth. Because there's not much in it for them to tell you the truth. It's risky to tell you the truth. It's actually risky to tell you as a founder, I think your product sucks. It's much easier for me to tell you, we don't have the budget. Finance department says no. It's a much easier answer, right? Much less confrontational. I'm not going to break your heart. You're not going to scream at me. It's much easier. So a lot of times people will give you bullshit answers. Here's the important thing. You have to tell them and ask them to tell you the truth. You have to tell them, if I go, oh shit, when we did the pilot, everything seemed to be going well. So help me out here. What did I miss? Always take all the blame. Don't say, you said everything was great. Why aren't you buying? No, go, I thought everything was going great. What did I miss? Help me out here. Where was the disconnect? What am I missing? Well, we don't have the budget. Remember when we talked about budget and we said, if we could deliver this amount of value to you, you could pay this amount of money. What changed? If it wasn't for budget, would there be anything else that would stop you from buying? You need to keep asking questions. Ask them for help until they tell you the truth. And they will eventually tell you the truth. And then when you take all the blame, I've told a customer before, like they told me, we're not going to buy. And I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I really I and they usually, that's not the response. When somebody tells you, sorry, I'm not going to buy, you don't go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, because apparently I did a terrible job. I know that I'm pretty convinced with all the data that I have that my product is perfect for you. So obviously I missed learning all the important data. Obviously, I've wasted your time, and obviously, I failed here. I'm super sorry about doing a poor job. You won't believe how most people, when you make yourself vulnerable like that, they will go, no, 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 it's not you. It's really the finance department. It's, really it's the product lead. And then they're going to tell you the truth. You need to figure out from your customers why they're not buying, what's going on, or get an advisor, get an investor, get somebody who knows about sales to join a sales call and listen in and give a third-party feedback on what you're doing wrong in your sales pitch, if it's truly your sales pitch. But it's hard to generally tell you what the right ways to go here is. All right, somebody just put a question in chat on how to structure compensation to keep the sales team motivated. Man, compensation structures for sales teams are a complicated thing. You need to think about the comp structure as its own product with multiple versions. My general advice for you is this. Whatever your compensation structure is, keep it simple. Keep it as simple as humanly possible. It will become complicated all on its own without your help. If you start complicated, it's going to become overwhelming and nobody's going to understand and it's going to break. Keep it simple. Understand that you're going to make mistakes in your compensation structure for your sales team. So think about it in versions. This is version 1. In a month, we're going to update it. In another month, we're going to update it. It's going to change as we learn more. But honestly, the compensation structure should not keep your sales team motivated. Your success should. Nothing is more motivating than success. If your product is exciting and your customers want to buy it and your salespeople see success in the market, they're going to be very, very motivated. Obviously not if they're not making any money, but success is even like them feeling like they're succeeding is even more important than them feeling like there's some bonus structure. If they don't believe that they can make it, you can make $1 million if you sell to, 40 big companies, and I as a salesperson believe I cannot sell to any big companies because our product is ready. It doesn't matter what the compensation structure is. I'm not going to be motivated. So try to ask yourself, what is something we can pay salespeople on that they can experience frequently and what they believe in? Keep it simple and make a version 1. Don't try to make it perfect. And as you see the behavior of your salespeople, as you gather more data, change it, update it. It sucks, I know. We all just want to come up with a perfect compensation structure and then never have to think about it again, and then it works perfect. But this is not how it works. It's just like a product. You're going to make mistakes. Your company is going to grow and evolve, and the comp structure for your sales team is going to have to adopt as well along the line. All right. Let's see. What other question do we have? Let's do one last question before we wrap this up. So I see a bunch of questions are pretty repetitive, or already addressed it with some other stuff that I said before. Can you share some best practices of how to develop a project proposal for a client? What structured information should be included? Sorry, guys, I'm beating a dead horse, but it depends, and I would involve your customers. Here's what I like to let my customer do all the work for me. So if I talk to a customer about some kind of a project, I'm not going to guess what the proposal needs to look like. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell the customer, okay, it looks like we want to do a pilot together, or we want to do a project together. It seems like our two companies could work really well together. Let me ask you, in the last 2 years, have you done a project like this before? And if so, was it successful or was it a failure? Or if you did many projects, tell me about the most successful one and the least successful one. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to learn from the past. The most successful one, tell me, what about it was successful? Why was it successful? How did you structure it? How did you work on it? What did they do? What kind of contract did you use? What kind of planning tool? I'm going to learn everything I can about from their past success. Similarly, with their past failure, have you done a project like this that was a catastrophe? Yeah. Tell me all about it. Why was it a catastrophe? What made it fail? Learn from their past failures. Let them tell you what to do to make this successful. What needs to be included in the pilot proposal? How long should it be? Should it be in a Word doc or in a Google doc? Should it be written, in this style, that casual? Hey, have you guys ever gotten a really amazing project proposal? can you send it and share it with us? Because then we can orient, like we work with so many different companies. Every different company is a little different. I want to make sure that we send you something that's going to work for you. So give me some data. So I send you a proposal that works, that will be the most successful and customized for you. Let them tell you what they want from you. Let them dictate what is included or not. Ask all the questions. Don't guess. Don't mind read. Don't think there is such a thing as like, what is the perfect proposal? There's no such thing. If you sell to a Fortune 500 company, your proposal needs to look totally differently than if you sell to a VC or a startup, or a bakery or a pizzeria. Like those things are not universal. So you need to ask those companies past successes and failures, examples for great project proposals, what they want included, how they want to represent, ask lots and lots of questions. Most of us are not comfortable with asking a lot of questions. That's why most startup teams guess 90% of the time what they should do. Don't guess. I don't like to guess. I don't like to mind read. I ask the questions, I get the answers, and then I succeed because I know what I need to do. All right. I think that that's a good way to wrap this up. Here's two things I want to offer everybody, right? So, if you have more questions that I didn't answer, or if you had some super intimate questions you didn't want me to answer in front of everybody, send me an email at steli@close.io, steli@close.io. Steli@close.io. It's so easy. If you type in Steli Efti in Google, you'll find my email somewhere. Send me an email if I can ever help any of you in any way or answer a question. And then I've written, I think at this point, it's like 8 or 9 books on B2B marketing, B2B sales, qualifying, hiring, anything. Any question you ask today, I've written a book about, right? So if you want to have all my books in digital format in a single downloadable link for free, just send me an email at steli@close.io and just put in the subject line, bundle motherfucker, right? You send me that, you get an auto reply with a link that gives you all my books and all my stuff. That's it for me for today, guys.
Thank you so much, Steli.
Thank you, Steli.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot, and keep in touch, my friend. Feel free if you need something. We will have a very big event here in Monterrey on November. It's called Inc. Monterrey. It's like the biggest event for entrepreneurship in Latin America. It's like a Southwest, but for here from Mexico.
Okay.
So there are very, very fancy speakers such as Richard Branson last year on some Shark Tanks. So if you want to come, I can have something for you here to come to this event. Bueno. Steli, are you there? ¿Los demás escuchan bien?
Sí, me hace que se desconectó.
No, está